What's up, brothers and sisters? Your brother G World 7_D doing another video. It's just something I'm gonna say some random stuff right now. A little bit about the history and a little bit about what's going on. I want, like I always said, brothers and sisters, continue to do your research, continue to do your history, continue studying your true history. You know, obviously, mainstream Negroes gonna sit there and tell you, as you're a descendant of African slaves, well, you have a rich history that's beyond you being a slave here in Americas before 1619. But you have to really put in the time and research for this information. You cannot just buy into what society tells you. These people are not going to tell you your true history. They're going to tell you what some of you individuals want to hear, that you're a descendant of African slaves. And that same tired-ass, lying-ass narrative, man, which isn't true. But unfortunately, you have many of our people, or some people disguised as being part of us, will continue to push that one agenda and then say that you hate being African, that you hate yourself, when they're the ones who really have deep-seated hatred, because they cannot see the great achievements that our people have accomplished before the arrival of Peller people. We have to really see and understand that we have enemies amongst us. We have these domestic coons who will say and perpetuate anything, just like everything we invent here. These individuals always try to link it to Africa. That's a problem. Our accomplishments was done by here. It had nothing to do with no damn Africa. But you see them individuals do that, and then they turn around and say we have no culture and culture. And some of us have bought into that, so we give anything we come up with, it has to come from Africa. Even some of these hairstyles, Negroes have given it some African names, man. Because we've been indoctrinating in our heads that we're Africans, but we're not. Like I said, that may hurt some Negroes hearing this, but you're gonna hear it. We're not Africans. All right, we're not Africans, and I'm tired of studying some of these African YouTubers telling us who we are. Stop doing that, man. If you want to be helpful, actually take the time out to study our history here in Americas. Study the diversity of Aboriginal Americans and how we, not only how we look, but our culture here in Americas. If you want to really be an ally, truly study our history. Realize that there were already, quote, Negroes, blacks, that was already over here. That was the original people here and built great civilizations. If you really want to help, stop promoting negativity and the negative images of our people. And I see this from a lot of these little African YouTubers and some Caribbeans, man. Just want to harp on the negative aspects of Aboriginal blacks, Aboriginal Americans here in America. That's a problem. You sit up there and you claim you talking about diaspora wars. There's no African diaspora because we're not all African. All right. You want to use the term melanated diaspora or so-called black diaspora, which I have no problem, okay? But we're all not the same. And we're all not the same even here in America. And I know other places, all the people are not the same. This is why I tell you to study your history. Our people we need to get that key, that lost key, and get that lost key to unlock that lost knowledge. Because when I mean by lost knowledge, when you keep saying that you're descendant of African slaves, you really don't know who the hell you really are. You are a lost Negro who's truly ignorant of your true history. And that's sad, but it's true. All right. When I hear these foreign YouTubers commenting of us and our culture, yeah, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, because everything they're getting is from non-melanated people. And they're listening to non-melanated people. But when all their lives they have seen, quote, white folks come in their country, give them food or just act like they're friends to them, they'll sit there and think that that white person is God. Well, come on. Well, many of us know better. There's some of us who are just going along doing the same cooning. But many of us know better not to fall for the, banana in the tailpipe. All right? But some of us just do not want to admit or are afraid to unlock that knowledge and get that key, because we do not want to upset our so-called or ruin our so-called friendship with our so-called friends who are non-melanated. And this is a serious problem that we have, that we're too busy searching and seeking acceptance from other people when they're just not our people. And it goes to the point is that here in America, our people, when that Wakanda movie came out, Black Panther, some of our people were just totally brainwashed and Wakanda-sized, but not realize that we were being insulted in that movie. We were portrayed as being just angry, aggressive, quote, uncivilized, but while the so-called African was civilized. Are you serious? That movie Black Panther was very insulting. Then they worked with the CIA, of all people, who was pumping in drugs into our communities starting in the late 60s. And really they started pumping it really heavily in the 80s. And yet you gonna sit there and have them as heroes in the movie? Are you serious? So we need to understand and realize that we cannot allow others to write our narratives and determine our narratives. And that includes other so-called melanated people who are not of our bloodline. And I'm going to say this again, I said this other video, it does matter who you date and marry. Because when you start marrying people outside of your group, you start to not only dilute your physical features, but you dilute your bloodline and you dilute your history. Especially us, when we continue to be brainwashed, think that we're African, but we're not. We're not a new people. We have the bloodline of the original people here. Some of us do not really want to hear this, man. But because we've been run away from our true history. We have allowed these white folks to dictate to us, teach us, or allowed to listen to goofballs like Louis Henry Gates and be miseducated at these Negro institutions like Howard, Hampton, Delaware State, North Carolina A&T. We've been miseducated. Texas Southern. We've been totally miseducated, man. Maryland Eastern Shore. We got to realize that, man, that the educational system has been constructed to keep us chained down and at a certain mental state of servitude to our oppressor. I keep hearing these Negroes talking about we all come from Africa, and then Europeans come from Europe. No, they don't. Europeans do not come from Europe. The original people in Europe, I said this before, were Negroes. I get to study this, man, because white folks and other people didn't exist. They didn't exist. They didn't exist. They came later on. Now, some of my people do not want to hear this, man. And like I said before, I talked about other YouTubers who've been playing games with our history, but they're backed by outsiders. And this is why we got to continue to study and really grasp and take back our full and true history. All right, stop listening to outsiders. And then now I'm going to go on to say this. It was this librarian chick who, I guess she was doing her YouTube stuff. I haven't seen the videos. I just heard the news article. When I read a line, and it was I read where it was one of East Coast station, Philadelphia, something that talked about this chick. This chick is live on air, slaughtering animals, man. That's bad. That's sick. Now you're in another country. Those particular customs that you were doing aren't acceptable here. They probably not acceptable in certain parts of the countries that she came from, Liberia. All right, but she's doing that mess here with a little white boyfriend, slaughtering things. And now she gets caught, and that was very barbaric what she was doing, killing animals on YouTube. And then that negativity that she's doing, which is sick, is going to be blamed on just, quote, flat blackness. See, this is something that has been a lot of Americans are waking up to. That people like Umar Johnson, Mark Lamont Hill, who's Jamaican. Umar says he's Cuban. Mark Lamont Hill, I believe, is Jamaican. Angela Rye is a Haitian. And Roland Martin is part Haitian. So these foreigners want us to do the flat, quote, blackness. And these Negroes are doing some very debauchery things. And yet we're being attacked because, quote, they have a, quote, because they have the same colors we do. They're melanated like we are. Now, most instances you can tell the difference, how we look, even sometimes from our coloring. But these Negroes, when they do something good, they brag about their country of origin. But when everything's bad, it's just black. And these white journalists know what they're doing because they're part of it. They want to bring these foreign blacks up in here and cause the divisiveness. They bring them here because they know that they have no connection to this land. I said this in other videos. They have no connection to this land. They have no history to this land. And they're basically capitalizing off of what's been foundationally placed, historically placed by the Aboriginal blacks of this land. And then, you had your Moorish blacks who came here too, and your Asiatic blacks who came here, who contribute to this land that these individuals want to capitalize on, or these individuals want to capitalize on, but as also the news media, many of them know this, and many historians know this, that they want to basically not only try to link all Negroes together, but they want to basically erase the very presence of us and who we are. This is something that we're going to have to realize and understand and come to grips with. The fact is that these enemies come in very different shades, man, in very different backgrounds. And I keep saying this, you got to get out that flat blackness that's been very hurtful to our people. Going back, hell, to the 60s, when a lot of those Negroes then were being miseducated and wearing them damn dashikis and talking all that back to Africa nonsense. But we're going to have to understand that we've been bamboozled and hoodwinked and pimped in knowing who we truly are and understanding who we truly are. So, but we also got to understand these news media are basically feeding everything, and they love to feed on negativity, particularly us. So they're willing to tolerate these foreigners because, like I said, these foreigners don't have no ties to this land. They really don't have no historical ties to this land. So they play game with them and try to use them to erase us out. Many of us are ignorant enough and willing to do that, and not willing to take a time. You just start blasting this black person who's talking about ancient history, but not putting the time yourself to study your history. When you continue to say you're African, you're saying you're a foreigner to America. That's ignorant. That's ignorant. You continue to say you're a foreigner. And that's a big problem. But back to this chick, man. You have many people like her who commit these crimes in these areas, but they just give the image of they're black, and they're black. And when they say that they're black, the main thing they're trying to focus on is, quote, black Americans. These white folks don't like you, they want to demonize you, and they want to basically disassociate you from this land. What you contribute to this land, but the fact that you are the original people of this land. But they give other people your identity. It's been going on for the longest, man. And Hollywood is part of the branch of white racism. Global, non-melanated racism. They're part of that branch. You have to understand that. So they use these Negroes for their plot to destroy you. And many of you have bought into that because many of you don't care. You just going to being flat blackness. That's not going to help our people out. You need to start thinking about yourself first, your lineage first, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because you are the original people of this land. Like that idiot Akon said that African entertainers are more talented, had more stage presence and everything. And this idiot says this, and he gets away with something. I mean, people blasted him, but you got these Negroes who defended him, man. Well, he's right. Burma Boy, what he said was right. And then you got that little stupid little chick, that ZZ Mills. And people didn't really blast their ass for saying that, man. But yeah, you want to talk about us, about stage presence, then you try to imitate us. When I look at a lot of these, when I look at that, some of these little Afrobeats people, they're copying off of Aaliyah, man, Brandy, man, TLC, SWV, Jade from the freaking 90s. They're copying off of them. And they say we had no culture. Really? So, this chick needs to be arrested, all right? And she's Liberian. She might pay deployed there. My ancestors originally from here, then they migrated to some damn Africa, whatever. she might do that, man. But it just tells you, man, that we're gonna have to basically sort out and kick out certain individuals that who are lingering onto our group. We're gonna have to do that, man. And this what this chick did is very sick and disgusting. And she needs to be arrested for that. If they're killing animals live on air on her YouTube page, and then just doing it for clout chasing. Supposedly she was doing it for clout chasing and for views. That's sick. And smiling with a little white boyfriend. That goes to that white worship nonsense. This is a problem that we cannot solve the problem around the world. And I'm telling you, these Pan-Africans, man, stop trying to be the protectorate of all people. These other Negroes, man, need to solve their own issues. They need to solve their own issues, man. And they need to do it on their own. If you know, we cannot sit and interfere. They need to basically solve their own issues from their own countryland. Their color issues, their feature issues. They need to solve it. Don't bring that mess over here. Because generally, when I start hearing this like colorism, featureism thing, we do have colorism here, but the featureism thing, I'm hearing this, man, mostly from these African female YouTubers. Feature-wise, we have different features than you. We have features. There's a few of them you can slip in and may get away with, but feature-wise, we have different features than you. Our features are different. Very different. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, I want to emphasize that we need to look out for ourselves first. Aboriginal Americans first. Period. So we got to get out of this, everyone's Africans, we're not. So, I want to emphasize that. Emphasize that thoroughly. Very thoroughly. So, I'll make that clear, all right? Love who you are. Love your true history. Love yourself. Peace and love. G-Word.